Hello
Hello.
everybody. So we are back live, and today we are going to talk about 3 quick ways that you can easily perk up your website. So these are ways that you really can sort of make quick changes really easily if you're in charge of your website. And so we are going to go through them. And just to start off with, as we haven't been live for so long, just in case you don't know us, I am Jude, and this is
Chris. Hello.
Hello! And it's nice to be back, and we've got people watching live already, so that is fantastic. So we will go through the 3 quick ways to perk up your website. If you have any questions while watching live, please do ask, obviously. And if you are watching on replay, please do a hashtag replay. Still ask your questions. We will be keeping an eye on the comments so we can come and answer them for you. So, the first way that you can quickly and easily perk up your website is have a look at the fonts that you are using. Because fonts are really, really important. Obviously, you want them to be lovely and clear and easily readable, so that your website visitor can find the information that they want to easily. But also, your fonts can say quite a lot about you, and they can make a really big impact on people when they come to your website.
Yes, I mean, I like to call them typography because I'm a designer.
Oh, well, yes.
Obviously it depends on your branding. So I'm assuming if people don't have their brand, then they should have their brand if they've got a website. And the branding usually comes with fonts that match the kind of look and feel, the kind of colours and those kind of things, and the kind of essence of the brand. So there's really kind of 2 main kind of font kind of choices. You're going to be looking at serifs, which are the kind of the sort of curly edged ones. And then you've
Flicky fonts.
Yes, and then the sans serif, which are things like Arial, serif is like Times New Roman, and then you've got sans serif is like Arial, all rounded, no kind of flicky bits. And then quite often that people do have a cursive font as well, and that's a kind of handwrite sort of scripty type font. What we recommend in terms of kind of fonts on a page is try not to use more than 2, 3 maximum. The more fonts you use on a page, the more confusing it's going to get for people, and the muckier it's going to look. So just try and avoid that.
Yeah, so we say that you should have 1 font for all your headings, keep that nice and consistent, then a different font for your body text and keep that nice and consistent. And like Chris said, if you do want to choose a 3rd font, you want to choose a script font, that is just used very sparingly just to emphasize certain words. It's called like a flourish font, possibly. So that is what you need to do. So if you have a current website or you're planning a website at the moment, think about your fonts and think about whether the fonts you have chosen truly represent you. So if you have like a wellness business, sort of yoga, something that's nice and floaty, perhaps that's the type of website where you will have some of those lovely, beautiful, flowing script fonts. But equally, if you are in construction, and it's a much more sort of, if you want to give a solid feel to your website, then perhaps you're going to go for more of the sans serif fonts, no flourishes, no little flicks. So that's worth thinking about. So get your fonts right.
And also think about the readability of your fonts as well, because quite a lot of these kind of flourish fonts, they look great on sort of desktop, laptop screens. When they go down to mobile, they're almost unreadable. So just make sure you keep an eye on readability, and any long form content like blog posts and things, make sure that's in a readable font that people can actually read through and digest without kind of giving themselves a headache.
Absolutely. So that is fonts. Make sure that you're not doing too much with fonts, you're not trying to use too many on your site, and that you've got ones that truly represent you and your business. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is your call to actions. So these are likely to be buttons on your website, or they could be links within your text. And you need to have a look or a think about your call to actions and think about 1, whether they stand out, and 2, whether they are consistent throughout your website. It's really important they stand out, because obviously you want people to take action. You want people to click the contact me button. You want people to click the buy button, the join now button, the sign up button, whatever it is you have on your website. You want people, when they're reading through a blog post and in the blog post you've got a suggestion to go and check out a free resource, you want them to click on that link, because you want it to be really obvious that that is where they're going to click, and by doing that they're going to take action. And a lot of people get that bit right. They get it right that it stands out. What they don't necessarily get right is making those call to actions consistent. Go on.
Yes. We always say like consistency is key. And again, that's one of the things that goes back to your branding. So really we kind of advocate the idea of having an accent colour that goes with your brand. So the kind of the colour that becomes synonymous with your brand. So for example, really say websites, we use like kind of like a nice sort of tealy green, kind of bright green colour, and then we use that consistently across our whole site just for the join button. So anything where you're joining and you're going to pay for something, that's got a green button on it. We've also got a secondary call to action, which is kind of like, oh, all right, sign up for our email list, and that's in kind of grey. And then we've got a third call to action, which is using purples and whites and like a purple stroke on it. So just to keep those consistent across as well. So consistency is really important. It is good in terms of kind of clickability, in order for you to use a colour that does stand out on the page. We do understand that, depending on your branding, depending on the kind of niche that you're in, maybe you're in fashion, maybe you're in something high-end, and you want to go for more monochrome kind of call to actions, just make sure that they do stick out on the page. Just by the kind of way you're using them and inverting the colours. You can also have call to action panels as well, so you can have a background colour on there and then have buttons and text overlaid on that, which is another way of kind of getting the attention of someone as they scroll as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our second one. So you've got your fonts, they're going to look awesome. You've got your call to actions, which are going to stand out and be really consistent. So whenever anyone sees that colour on the site, they know what they're going to do when they hit that button. And then the third one is your images. Getting your images right. Now, if you have been following us for a while, you know that we think very highly of images. Basically, images make or break a website. So if your website does not have beautiful, high quality, engaging, bright, wonderful images, but has sort of very sort of dark, dull, perhaps sort of taken by you as a selfie type images, they aren't going to be portraying you as well as they should be. And you can spend ages creating the most beautiful content for your website, writing the most amazing things. You can have thought about the layout. You can have made sure that like the page structure works really well, so the user experience through your website is great. But if somebody hits your website and the first thing they see is an image that looks unprofessional, it looks dull, it looks uninspiring, they may not even bother going any further to have a look around. So if you have a current site, go and cast a critical eye over your images and see if they, are up to date, if they're truly representing you, if they are eye-catching, if they look fantastic. And if not, it's worth going and doing something about that.
Yeah, one of the big things as well, obviously aside from all the things that Jude said, she sort of touched on as well, make sure your images are as current as they can be. So if you've changed your hairstyle, dyed your hair, grown a beard, anything that you're going to stick with can sort of for longish term, make sure you're updating your images, because you don't want people to see you on social media, on a Facebook Live, and then they go on the website and it looks completely different. We are a bit guilty of that as well, because I'm always changing my hair.
The irony of Chris saying that, the man who is always growing his hair really long, cutting it really short, having it in between, beard one day, no beard next day, beard again in 3 weeks' time. Seriously, there's no way all of our photos ever represent what Chris looks like.
But a lot of people are guilty of having an image that's 10, 15 years old, which is their favourite image of themselves, but actually not being harsh to them because they're still beautiful people. They don't look quite the same anymore because they've got a bit older. So just make sure you keep those things up to date as well. If you don't have the budget for professional photos, there are plenty of kind of stock photo sites. Just make sure you get a consistent look and feel, consistent tone through those images, so they feel like they're a set of images rather than just kind of hodgepodge, kind of borrowed off the internet.
Absolutely. So there are our top 3 quick ways that you can perk your website up by making sure that your fonts are representing you and that you only have 2, maximum 3 on your website, to make sure that your call to actions are all consistent and they're all standing out, and to also make sure that your images are fantastic, they're professional, they're beautiful, they're stunning, and they're going to draw in your website visitor. So we haven't had any questions, so we are going to leave it at that this week. But like we said, if you're watching on replay and you've got some questions, please do ask. And also we will drop a link into the comments or a little call to action into the Instagram comments, because we are on both platforms, Facebook and Instagram, to let you know about our website handbook, which we are currently writing and will be launched next month. And it's going to be a fantastic tool, and we have the waiting list open for that now. So please go and have a look and check that out too. And we will be back at the same time next week with more fantastic website related tips at 1:30 on a Monday. So we will see you then. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.